Good morning, everyone. It's Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building with another SPS Monday Motivation. That's right, October 6th, 2025. A couple more months to conclude the year 2025. So if you ever thought, hey, you ever thought it's going to take too long, believe me, it goes fast enough. So do what you're going to do because the time is moving on. So what do we have today? Like I say, it's always from the headlines or from my personal life. And want to think back to this weekend and Friday. Great time with Michigan State basketball to start with. The Midnight Madness, MSU Madness, as it's referred to. Got to get over there and spend some time with the basketball team. And that's always followed the next day by Tom Izzo's camp out. It's the Izzone camp out, which is a great thing as well. And it's been going on for several years. Got a chance to get over there and spend some time with the Hall of Fame coach the night before, and the day of. I didn't stay, but I got there pretty early. I'm just a few minutes away from campus. But after it was done, got a chance to talk to Coach, a little bit, and we were chatting. He was just saying how he couldn't, do like he normally would do, which is drive the golf cart around. He would drive the golf cart around to wake up the students. Most of them are already up anyway, but to kind of send them off before they would leave. And I was talking to him. I said, well, Tom, as we were talking about this, I'm saying, Tom, what comes with that is it had grown too large. The camp out had got too large for him to be able to navigate his golf cart through. So there was a shift. There was a shift in this experience, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here it is, him walking around in Munn Field. You can see like one tent left, but these were all tents. The students were wrapping up at this time, and he was walking through, thanking them for coming out. But he couldn't do that on the golf cart because it had got too big. Who do we have here? Got Michelle Mimi walking. Good morning, Michelle. How are you? Thank you for checking in. Talking about being at the MSU Madness the next day, the Tom Izzo camp out with all those students that are in the Izzone come and camp out the night before. And I was talking to Coach Izzo after because I went over there and they talk about this shift. And I said, Coach, that's the penalty of the penalty of success. The penalty of success is you've grown so much. And I think we have to be able to recognize that the psychology of growth, when growth happens, I think we always kind of want to get to a point where there's this idea of cruise control. And I think the only way you can really get to cruise control with any consistent endeavor is that you're so locked into it that you have this automatic pilot that can happen, but there's always an opportunity to move forward. So we talk about the psychology of growth. Psychologist Albert Bandura's self-efficacy. I like to talk about self-efficacy. The self-efficacy theory reminds us that as we master challenges, we build belief in our ability to handle more. You got to remind yourself, as you master something, you have the confidence to build that belief, not arrogance, but the confidence because you've seen it done. And that leads to greater responsibility. Now, this is where I may lose some people. This is where some people may say, oh, Lindsey, I'm not really into that part. I don't want more responsibility. But that is what happens with growth, right? That's the penalty of success. What was once simple now demands more focus, strategy, and stamina. Well, Lindsey, why are you putting more on me? Why should I have to do more? But that's the reality, is that we all want to achieve more. I think in many cases, many of us are ambitious by nature. So you have to realize once you start to achieve more, there's going to be more of a demand, more of a focus. At your job, you may have come in, and when you had that interview, you was telling them you're all about it, whatever you want to do. Then opportunity started presenting itself, and more responsibility came. But your self-efficacy should remind you that you do have the ability to do it. So I want to reframe what's considered this penalty. Sometimes responsibility can be considered a penalty, and I want to reframe how we look at that as you go through life and you look to achieve more and do more, and you get other responsibilities. We can reframe that. The penalty of success isn't punishment, it's proof. I was telling Coach Izzo, we were talking over there we moved over to where his office is outside, and we were talking. I said, man, hey, this is proof that you're growing. The concern was, man, I can't do like I used to do. Well, it's grown so much, and I think we have to look at our lives like that. Sometimes we look at the more challenges that we get and we think, oh, man, I got to do more. That's punishment. No, this is proof of your ability. Proof of what you're capable of. Sometimes I leave invoices or letters that reference things that I wanted to do that I'm doing them now, just as a reminder that I've done it. And I think we have to keep that mindset and not get down on ourselves going forward. Also, proof of what, Lindsey? Proof of many things. Proof that you what? That you've grown, right? That's an example of one thing, right? Tino, good morning, Tino. Talking Michigan State basketball coach Tom Izzo and his own camp out, and how he was saying he couldn't drive his golf cart through because it was so big. And I said, hey man, that's the penalty of success, and things happening with that. You know about successful in your work, and to be able to retire comfortably and travel the world. I see you everywhere, man. Player with a passport, no doubt, right? Also, what other proof is this? Proof that you've reached an impact has expanded. Proof that your reach and impact has expanded. See, when you get more responsibility in a role, or when people call upon you a little bit more, though it may be irritating to some at times, but it's proof that, hey, this is the person to call. This is the person to reach out to. When I get calls and inquiries about, hey, can you give me some insight on that? That's proof that my impact is growing and I've expanded. We need to recognize it in a positive way. Also, proof that you're no longer playing small. I mean, so many things start as just an idea and start as just something that maybe your family or loved ones kind of know about. But as you continue to grow, whatever you may be doing, it's proof that you're no longer playing small. That, hey, Coach Izzo, it wasn't just an opportunity for you to just drive the golf cart through with a few hundred students. Now it's several thousand students that you've grown to, right? Also, the mental game. We got to think about the mental game also. I got my mother. Good morning, son. Good morning, mother. How are you? Patricia England, thank you for checking in this morning. It's going to be a great warm weather day, and I appreciate you checking in. You know, I always get to chat with moms. That's a great thing. I'm talking about the penalty of success and the mental game as it relates to that, mom. I'm talking about was with Coach Izzo Saturday morning. With my cup of coffee early at about 6 a.m. when he was sending the students home from the end zone camp out. Success requires new thinking, new habits, and a renewal of effort. I think we can relate to the new thinking. I think we can almost relate to the new habits, but it's the renewed effort that I'm concerned about, because it means you got to do more. I think we have to realize that even if it's more effort, you've built the mental, potentially physical stamina to be able to handle that. You may say, oh man, this race is I'm running a longer distance, but you've also built up the ability to do that. So you have to understand, just with more responsibility comes your ability that you've grown, that you have it. You're stronger now, physically, mentally, and you can do that. That's just the weight of winning. Wow, talk about that. The weight of winning. You know, we sit back, you know, we want to win, but we don't want to accept what comes with it. We want to the victor goes the spoils. We want the accolades and the other things that come with it, you know, the acknowledgement that come with it, but other challenges come with it too. You know, more responsibility, another thing. But the reality is that if you're winning, that means you're capable. If you won, that means you're capable to be able to achieve that and do that. Who do we have? We got Dwayne Willie. Good morning, brother. How you doing, brother? Talking about the penalty of success, man. Sometimes you're doing well. Hey, more challenges go come, but guess what? You're capable of doing it. Just as you were able to find success to get to that point where these challenges have come, remind yourself, hey, if I got to this point, I have the ability to do it. It just has to be a renewed thinking, right? You got to get some new habits. You might have to get up a little bit early. You may have to go to bed a little bit later. You may have to watch this or watch that. But hey, it's a constant evolution. I think that's important to keep us healthy and keep us in the game going forward, right? Also, this is not about anxiety. It's about adaptation, right? Don't let it be anxiety. I'm just adapting. I think it's very important that we learn how to reshape some of these things that we look at, reshape how we look at things through a certain lens. It's not about anxiety, like, no, I'm just adapting to something new. Oh, this is overwhelming. Nope, I'm just getting a new understanding of what's going on. I'm just going to adapt to it like I've done before, because you had to do that to get to this point. We got a few more comments right here. Got Ezra Bell, Grand Rising. Good morning, family. I know you're doing great work down in that Southeast Michigan area, Southwest, that is. Southeast is where you're from. Southwest is where you're at, baby. Grand Rising, no doubt. Eric Sharps, good morning, brother. How you doing, man? I hope all is well. The penalty of success, you know about that, man. You had success with your girls' team. You get a call up, got to make a move. You know about that with the young ladies that you coach up, and you've been telling them what they need to do early on. Then they get all these scholarship opportunities and looks. That's the penalty of success. But hey, it's going to be more that's expected of them going forward. And you definitely know about that. Also, too, the more you achieve, the more your world expands, and the more you must grow to meet it. Okay, you're not just going to achieve and sit there. Your world is going to expand. As once been said, you know, once your world expands, it can never go back again. But you got to be able to grow to meet it. But I'm here to tell you that you're capable. You know, you got to remind yourself that's how you got to this point. Dwayne Whitley says, what about when anxiety is overwhelming? You're right. Well, let's talk about anxiety, brother. The reality is that there's a normal form of anxiety that we experience. That's just life. But the concern becomes, and that's a great question, is when it gets to the point where it becomes to the point where it's like, as you say, the overwhelming aspect, and overwhelming to the point where it's becoming clinical, where you may need to step and get some assistance. You may need to get, someone who's in the medical field or the psychological field that can assist you with that. But it's all about recognizing it. Now, are you balancing this anxiety? Are you offsetting that with exercise, your diet? Because, hey, I'll be 50 next year, and me and you are on the same age, brother. So I know we've been doing it for a minute. Sometimes we can't stay out as late. We can't party, and I'm not assuming that you're doing that. We can't party like we wanted to. We can't eat the things that we think we want to and think that our body is not going to respond in a certain way. So the other thing is, what are these other factors you're doing to potentially offset the anxiety? For me, when I get to the point where I start getting overwhelmed, I have to get active. I got to get up. Maybe it's go ride the bike. Well, if you can't go ride the bike, do something active, clean up around the house, do something that's proactive. So I think of some things you can do, Dwayne, to try to offset that. But if it gets to the point, like you say, it's so overwhelming, where even after you do these things, the exercise, the getting outdoors, the being mindful of what you ate, the rest, all these type of things that give your body an opportunity to recharge and get back on track. If you kind of checking the box for all these things and you're still feeling overwhelmed, that's when you go see some help. Go, talk to somebody, a medical professional that can assist you with that. And I think there's nothing wrong. And I think we need to embrace that. See, we have to understand too, and I can appreciate your vulnerability in sharing something like that, Dwayne. You my guy, going back. The reality is that we're not like we were back at McKinney, Taft Middle School, and all these places where we were just kids at heart and just can do things. We are older. Our body is going through these different things. So we have to be able to say, hey, when do I need to be able to bring somebody in? Everyone knows about my diabetes challenge. When I got my numbers down, I was doing good, but I had a time where I got too comfortable, right? And what happened is those numbers spiked significantly. Now, fortunately, within the past few weeks, I've got those numbers down to being just about normal again, with diet, taking the proper medication. I was off medication for a long time, but I had to bring something in. I just think that sometimes we have to recognize there's a shift. And in many kind of times too, Dwayne, there can be a life event that can kind of spark that anxiety, so you have to realize that even if you're having success, something can come in and be more overwhelming. But I appreciate that, brother, and I hope that can be helpful for you going forward. A few more things before we get out of here. It's good to share, and I'm glad people are open to sharing. I'm hoping the information I'm having is great. Let's talk about the motivation. As you find success in your life, remember this, folks. It's okay if things feel heavier or faster. That's what we're talking about right now, Dwayne. Things can feel heavier or faster. It can be a whole lot more that goes along with it. My brother said, thank you. I hope that's helpful, brother. You are welcome. We'll keep checking in with you on that for sure. It's okay. It's also okay too to keep growing and keep moving. That's about being active. See, I think sometimes we get this idea that there's a certain level we reach where we just sit back in the chair and all as well. You sit back in the chair, that belly go get bigger. That heart is going to be overwhelmed. Those physical things, the mental things. It's just that we got to put ourselves in a position that we can be present in the moment to enjoy the success, but you got to keep moving. Also, because the real penalty of success is standing still. That's what I'm getting at, folks. That's what I'm getting at. There is no time to stand still. When you stand still, that means you stop. And I don't want to use the D word, but that means, hey, you may not be here no more. So there's going to always be some movement. I don't want you to think that it always has to be you on a hamster wheel, running. But it's like, okay, what's my next step? Where am I at right now? Now let me be present in the moment and focus on that. And what changes do I have to make to that? What dietary change? Diet is so much. If you eat garbage, you're going to feel like garbage. And there used to be a time we can eat, drink, party, do whatever, and just keep it going. But eventually your body is like, these things don't get replaced. And if they do, that's one thing. But we're kind of going off first generation of, our body parts, our mental health, and all these type of things. So we have to think about what are we doing to offset these things. And sometimes the idea of exercise or living a more healthy quality of life may be overwhelming because we're so used to certain things. We're so used to certain tastes and whatnot, and such a lifestyle that we can feel we can't do. But just take one day at a time, one moment, So I hope this can be helpful, folks. The penalty of success is that the more you do great things, the more challenge that will come. But guess what? Because you achieve the greatness, it's showing that you're capable. You have the self-efficacy to do it. So with that being said, guys, I want you to have a great Monday. You get out there, have a great week, have a great month, have a great year. The year's about over, but that's okay. You got to 2025, and you're going to be great for 2026. With that being said, Lindsay Hudson with SPS. See you in a minute. Peace.